They're back.
It's the fastest hour on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary, quite incredible, quite unlike anything you may have experienced in your life.
It's time for TOPSPUR TV. With your host, Douglas Bruce and Big Mike Fisher. Fasten your seatbelts. It's time for TOPSPUR.
Hey guys, welcome into TOPSPUR. I'm Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. Big Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. And as you can see, I'm ready for my trip to Thailand with the family.
Yeah, I love that hat, man. Love that hat.
We're getting ready for it. And
now you go about every year, right?
yeah, that's been our go-to spot. You know, we went to Hong Kong, we went to Singapore years ago, and you know, we used to fly into Bangkok and stay a couple of days, and then go down to Pattaya. But in the past few years, we just shot straight down to Pattaya. It's just the biggest bang for your buck. You know, the elephants and everything are all right there, go-karts, the beach. And this year we're staying right. We got a penthouse in this. This year was a good year. So I've been tight, man. Been holding my every peso, man. Yep. Pinching them out my ass, you know. But now the kids are big enough now to where they can remember this.
Is this their first trip? First time going?
Vincent, we used to take Vincent, but he doesn't remember it. You know, we took him, I think the last time we went, because, you know, she was pregnant there a bunch.
Yeah.
They're close together. And then the COVID thing hit, and it's just now to where traveling is good, you know, because it was a hit. The first time we went after the COVID, it wasn't fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
still
it was kind of boring.
Still everything halfway shut down.
That's right. Now, last year we went, we're clear for takeoff. So I think the kids are really gonna love it. You know, they're excited about it.
Now they fight a rooster or two over there, don't they, in Thailand?
They do, but you know, I've never seen one.
Yeah. Every
Every time I ask about it, and you know me, I always ask, where do they fight roosters? It's not like here.
No.
I've seen them. I've seen one hotel we stayed at when Ferlina went with us. The last time we went with Vincent, our hotel, there were some out back. You know, they put them in these baskets. You know what I mean? Like those upside down baskets, and they're in there. And I went out there and looked at them. Couldn't find the person who owned them, and but I've never seen them go. And they're those big shamu looking things.
Yeah,
you know, big ugly biscuit head, bald neck things. You know, and it wouldn't be my thing, because I mean those they do it. I believe they do it naked heel there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's just until one does a feint or like a submission move or something, but
not exactly like the American style or even the slasher here.
No.
Well, you guys have fun. You know, I know you and Pauline go every year, and taking the boys this time, so that'll be a lot of fun. Guys, we're going to be talking about bad luck and superstition. Talking about some of the things that happen, some of the different things that cockfighters, you know, believe or and just sometimes the bad luck you have, you know.
If you didn't see it, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? But we're going to talk about that. The shit that we've seen. But you know, I remember at this church I went to over on Okinawa, somebody was saying something one time, and the preacher's wife there, this is on the base, you know, I remember her saying to this person in conversation, if you believe in God, there's no luck. You know, it's God wanted this way, or God didn't want it that way. And I try to conform to this because you don't want to get caught up in it. You know what I mean? To get caught up in the bad luck thing. And Florente always told me this when I first got into this, sometimes you're just lucky and sometimes you're not. And I'm like, in my mind I thought, no, the rooster made a mistake. You know, that you can blame it on, but then I seen it. You know, it's just, goddamn, it's a lucky shot. Kicked in the neck, you know, and you die. How can you not call that just a lucky shot? You know, it's just so.
Well, you know, talking about, you know, in that vein, realm of vein, that you know, that's kind of like you know, predestination, Calvinism, or free will, and shit just happens, you know, and you know, I always look at it, you know, to us, what happens in life may be a surprise. It may seem like it just happened, but from God's perspective, he already knew that's what was going to happen.
That's
so
right.
for him, it was predestined, but for us, it was, you know, it was you know, chef's choice there, or whatever. You know, we started these circumstances, and sometimes you got to walk out that road. You know, with all of it. And
that's why I think this is an interesting topic. You know, for guys like us. You know, because I've always said this: if I was an atheist, life would be so easy. You know, but since I do believe in God, it kind of puts a different aspect on things. But in what we do, you can't deny it. I mean, if it's a God's will for my rooster get kicked in the neck
sometimes
by a chicken running away.
Or the stag I raised out of that $1,500 brood cock decided to take my gaffs and fly over the, you know, was that God's will or just my bad picking?
Or he jumps up in the net and gets hung.
Yeah. Yeah.
You come out there and the one you like the most is always
be hanging upside down. Hanging upside down. Yeah, that just, you know,
God's will. So
God's calling my chickens again.
And we're gonna get into this bad luck discussion.
Oh boy,
really good. I'm looking forward to
it. Guys, we are the all-new TOPSPUR, Douglas Bruce and Big Mike Fisher coming back. We were gone for a while, Mike, but we're back now. And
I'm glad to be back, man.
We are too. I am too. Yeah.
I missed it. I mean, I have a busy ass life, and I do, man. I was just looking at my schedule for this week, and I'm busy. But it's something about just sitting around, talking about our roosters, me and you getting caught up on things with our friends on here. It kind of became part of my life. Yeah. And it was kind of like, what do I do now? You know, what do I do now type of thing.
Well, and we started doing the other show, and we're kind of managing both shows at this point.
Well, we're still feeling our way through on that one. Whereas that one still is a little bit stressful because we're really working things out. Whereas this one, zero stress. Yeah. I can sit down and talk to you, with you about roosters any day.
Well, yeah, and we could do one of these shows, you know, blindfolded in our sleep. You know, these are such a joy for us to do, and the audience are all friends of ours, and all of that. Speaking of which, doing stuff online, I'm going to be teaching classes here. Not exactly sure how many I'm going to do or how often. Right now I'm doing them on Sunday evenings. I'm teaching on the last 3 days, point, moisture control, and what to do at the arena when you get to the arena, what to do. And so they're 2 to 3 hour seminar, and I'll be taking questions and trying to answer everybody's questions on pointing. If you ever wanted to know about point or wanted to know the truth about it, the right way to do it, the right way to manage it.
Because it is managing.
It's managing.
You gotta manage the weather. You know, or working within the
moisture control, absorption rate.
As it happens on the fly.
Yeah.
If it's a rainy day, if it's a hot, dry day,
you got to
roosters react different.
Yep. You gotta. You know, are they throwing feed? You know, are they throwing feed this week before? Or how are they? Where are they? You know, you start judging those kind of things the week prior.
Sure.
You know, so that you know how to make your adjustments for the day before.
Do all that hard work and then screw it up on the last couple of days because it rained. Like I did that once. I had the 3 wins and I went into the finals. It rained that night. I went there and I put them on the scale in the morning and they had gained weight.
Yeah.
And I said, how the hell does that happen?
Absorbing moisture.
That's right. They
breathing it in.
That's right. They sure as hell did.
Yeah.
Man. So,
guys, you can reach me at Bruce and Big Mike at gmail.com. If you want to sign up for the classes, you can go to our website, www.topspur.tv, and you can sign up. There's a place there in the store on the website. You can sign up, or you can just email me and I'll get you hooked up with it. I'm going to be doing that. Mike, want to mention Black Rooster. They are our new sponsor on here. We got a lot of good things coming up with them in the near future. So excited about that as well. But Mike, what's been going on farm? I know you're getting ready for this trip, but when you come back, I know you've got a lot of stuff planned here in the near.
Last week I took Florente up when I went up to deliver feed and brought down a couple more roosters to put in a keep. And Yeah, and I tell you, man, my goats are doing fantastic, man. That was a big thing, you know. I always wanted to have something on the side, you know. Goats, I have turkeys now that are doing really good because there's a learning curve on everything.
Yeah.
You know, and with goats, if you have any more than 10 of them, they get stressed out real easy. So I was having problems with worms, and I was using this dewormer that's good, you know, fenbendazole, and it should be working.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't working well. So I put in, so now I do ivermectin on the first of the month, and then on the second week, or the second dose, I use the fenbendazole, albendazole. And man, my goats look great. So I really think I can start to make money off of goats now. I mean, I've always sold some here and there.
Goat meat is high here in the Philippines.
Man, it's more than pork.
It's very popular.
Yep,
yeah,
it's more than pork.
Yeah, and pork is sky high. So.
And I think I've turned the corner on it now. So I think that if I wanted to really be productive with this, I could, you know, with goats all, because I really don't want to sell roosters anymore. You know, I had a guy, my neighbor came back off the ship 2 days ago, and you know, so Friday night I saw him. I was like, hey man, you know, me and this guy are good. I mean, we trade roosters a few times, you know, and just an awesome dude. And he says, hey, my friend right here, he has a boss that wants to buy some chickens, you know, do you have any available? I said, you know, man, if you want to come out and have a look, you can personally, but I don't want to sell roosters to anybody anymore. It's just not what I enjoy doing, you know. And
we have to raise so many too.
Raise so many, and you know, culturally it's different here when you sell things, even selling goats, you know. But I just don't, I don't have the motivation for it. But I do like my kids seeing a business aspect of this, you know, and I like them to see the roosters as an aspect of business and not a gambling thing, you know. So I think that I can start to balance things out, you know. I bred a little bit this year. Last year I didn't. Last year I did not. I just took a break. And my chicks are really good this year. They're really good, and they look healthy. My guys built me a new range area, so I think if I wanted to sell a few on the side next year, I could, but I have to really feel it out. I don't know if I want to be the one doing it. What I would contemplate doing is bringing some down to Florente, telling him what I want, and let him up it a little bit, you know, and do something like that. Yeah. Maybe I would possibly do something like that. But I just don't know that I want to be in the rooster selling business. It's just.
What you mentioned worming a while ago. Rotating wormers is always a good idea, no matter what animal that you're, or fowl or whatever you're deworming. But always a good idea to rotate the wormers, because if not, they get used to them and it causes you problems. Sure. Guys, we're going to take a commercial break here. We are poolside at Grand Residences here.
Pumping the music.
Yeah. It's turned into a damn discotheque over here. You know, I feel like I'm in Germany. Hanging with my buddy Klaus Mine at the German discotheque. So
you're gonna go throw on your leather and
evidently they think we want to listen to that, so they decided to play it. But we do what we can.
You gotta roll with it, man.
Yeah, you do, and that's one of the things about the Philippines.
And our new format.
Yep.
You know, our new format is we want to give you guys a taste of the PI.
Yeah.
What we're doing here, and this is what we're doing. We're sitting out here poolside, as you can see.
We get to see the beautiful ladies walk by, you know, but we do have to listen to the German disco music.
Because there are quiet places we could go, but I don't think that it was as fun. You know what I mean?
No.
And it gives us something else to bitch about.
Well, exactly. You know, in the Philippines is a lot that way, that they allow practically anything and everything for the most part, and that works in, you know, our favor. It's like Mike says, he hadn't been pulled over in 15 or 20 years, and hadn't had a.
No, you know why I pulled you over today, sir?
Yeah. No, you ain't from around here, are you?
No. No. So I think that, and we always inform people like that. You know, when we're sitting here talking about it, we remind them that, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, you know, but you have to eat the fish and spit out the bones. Take the good with the bad as part of it. But Anyway, guys, we're going to take a real quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about, having bad luck, and some of the superstitions that go along with competing with Gamefowl, not just here, but everywhere. So we'll be right back with more Top. Hey guys, welcome back into Top Spur. Douglas Bruce here, along with Big Mike Fisher. And Big Mike, we're talking about bad luck and superstitions. Something that I think, at least the first half of that, everybody has dealt with, no matter how famous you are or how many roosters you've caught. You've dealt with shit that happens and bad luck, and sometimes you wonder, why is all this happening to me? And you can do everything right. You can cross every T, dot every I, spend all the money, buying the best supplements, buying the best, and still go out there and the damn thing be hanging upside down from a roost pole or something.
Well, and I think sometimes it gives an excuse. I think sometimes it gives an excuse because you really got to dig down deep and be critical of, am I making the right decisions? Am I doing the right thing? I think that has a lot to do with it, because I'll tell you, there are people that come out to my farm in the past and they'll see my whites. My whites are good, man. We brought, I think there's 6 of them down there now, because people just don't buy white roosters here. They're superstitious of that color. They think if a white rooster gets cut and he sees his blood, they quit fighting. But anyway, I always wonder that because the way I select is a certain style. So my roundhead offspring from the original, because the original, when I buy them, I'm looking for something particular, either power or style. When I buy something, am I buying this broodcock for power, or am I buying this for style?
Yeah,
because I'm going to put it with something that has the opposite traits.
That's right. Yeah.
So people always say, "Man, your grays fight like this," or your whites, they fight the same, because I'm the one selecting. So of course my stuff, I like it to fight like Mayweather. Counter, side to side, kind of off balance, but smart. So for me, in fact, that's why I'm not breeding any more white stuff. Because I'm not going to be selling. I just want to focus on only a few bloodlines, and I'm tired of dealing with superstition people.
Yeah.
So to speak. They see a good rooster fight and they go, "Oh, I'd buy that if it wasn't white.
Yeah.
If it was red, I'd buy it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you probably would."
My dad went to W.T. Green's house when I was a kid. We went up there, and W.T. Green was the one who had the sweater grays and the sweater blue face, but he had the sweater grays, and probably the best confirmation chickens I've ever seen in my life. And my dad told Mr. Green, he looked around, Mr. Green offered him anything on the place, and they really hit it off and liked each other. But my dad was so into red roosters. He told Mr. Green, he said, you know, that's the finest roosters I believe I've ever seen in my life. It's a damn shame they're the wrong color.
That's my favorite story.
And he walked away and never bought a feather. You know, best chickens he'd ever seen in his life, but he wouldn't buy them because they were grays.
Yeah, I don't have that, you know, but
me neither.
But you know, since we're on this subject of colors, how many times we've gone to the pit and you've seen all the grays lose, or the next time you go, you see all the whites lose. I remember when I was going for my last fight, I had lost the first fight, and I had won the next 5. So I was going fight number 7. You know, and my last 4 fights were all guys that were going for the championship. You know, it was Giovanni Ong, Chung Si, all these famous guys. And the last fight was Jiangxi. And my brother-in-law told me, he said, man, all the blacks have won up until this point, you know, so maybe it's good for us, you know, don't be so stressed. And you know what, we went out there and we won, you know. But that's how but I've seen it. You know, I've seen all the grays lose in one day. Even if they fight good, something still happens. They get hit and they lose.
You know, I have seen it happen. I've seen a whole slew of grays lose. I've seen whites.
Even Mark Kelly talks about luck.
You know, I don't buy it because I'm such a scientific, but I have seen it and I thought, well, that's quite the coincidence, you know. But it happens here, not so much in the U.S., but back when it was legal there. But it certainly happens here a lot, and it makes you wonder. It makes me want to look for some sort of evidence that there's.
Have you ever seen the guys using the moon calendar looking thing where they pick certain colors to fight? I've seen that.
I've heard about it, but I've never.
I see them looking to see what to see what the barometric pressure is that day and what roosters fight good when it's like this. But I've never done any of that stuff.
Well, you know, my dad was a guy who went by the signs and everything. He went by the astrological signs. He wouldn't put in fence posts at certain time of the month because he said they'll come right back out of the ground. They'll work their way back out in a couple of months. And I've seen it where they were just, you know, he said, I told you to put them in, you know, last week, not this week. Well, I didn't get them in. What does it matter? And then lo and behold, you know, 3 months from then they were loose as they could be. Now, a lot of people don't believe in stuff like that. A lot of guys don't believe in trimming by the signs. Some guys do.
I've seen they cut the combs in the rain.
Well,
they do just fine.
There's a way that I believe that it will help you to trim in the knees or in the feet, in signs in the feet. But I also believe that I can compensate for that, overcompensate for.
What do you mean?
Well, the signs are in the head. They're in the arms. They're in the signs. Every cycle work their way through the body from the head to the feet. And when you trim stags, you want to trim stags when the signs are in the feet, because they're the farthest away from the head and they bleed less. That's the theory behind it. That's why guys.
The signs.
Yeah.
What's the signs?
The astrological signs.
Nice.
So, you know, when the moon is in a certain position, that's a sign in the head. It's a sign in the shoulders. It's a sign in the, you know, throughout the body, the groin, all the way down the knees, and the feet. And so when the signs are in the feet, guys trim because that's the farthest away from the head. And the way that the theory works is that they bleed less at that point. My dad was a big believer in astrological signs. A lot of the old timers that I knew were believers in the astrological signs. I do know that the moon, the gravity of the moon, causes the high tide and low tide, causes the oceans, you know, control.
And more babies are born when it's full moon.
Yep.
I worked labor and delivery 2 years, my first job in the military, so I can tell you that on full moons.
So there's things that it does affect. There's things that it absolutely does affect, and so I'm like, well, you know what? I don't know all the signs, and I don't know that I believe all the signs, but I do know that anything that can make the tide come in and go out obviously has some sort of a pull on people.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe that if you lose and you go take a shower, it will help you?
Well, the fact that I've been hugged up to a rooster all day fighting roosters might help me, with my girlfriend. She might let me sleep in the bed next to her if I take a shower first.
I was at the Tigbakai years ago, over there near Florente's house, and I see this guy. Me and him he talks very good English. We're always talking, and he comes back and his hair is washed. And I said, you went and took a shower? He said, yeah, I lost that fight, so I went and took a shower.
Wow. Wow.
That's a new
one. Americans have these sports superstitions where, if they're 10, they don't cut their beard, or they won't change, they wear the same socks, as they wore last week with.
There's a belief that if people are superstitious and they repeat these same things, it does help them win, because they do the same thing over and over, repetitive motion.
Yeah.
It keeps you in that thing. I better do this, I better do that.
Yeah.
Even in war, there were certain things I did every day that I thought gave me an upper edge, and helped me out in that. So I believe that.
I think everybody's got a little bit, and I try not to, but I think everybody's got a little bit of superstitious beliefs in them. My dad, if a black cat crossed his path, he's driving, he'll put an X on the, I'm like, what does that do? And he said, well, it just keeps the bad stuff. Yeah, it works. I do the same stuff every keep. I do the same stuff religiously over and over every day of the keep. I do the same thing at the same time, but I do that because I'm so damn OCD, and I think consistency helps roosters abundantly.
And I believe that's the word I was looking for. That consistency with people that have these superstitious beliefs. It's less of a superstition than it is just I did this every time and this shit worked. So, but how many guys have come? You used to, when you came out there and people had customers or whatever, and you'd see them counting the scales. They pick them up and they count, and Florente always just say, "Oh, you like a lucky scale here? This foot," because he would cut the foot. Mike, this chicken's very lucky. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's one they do here, and you wonder where that.
Do they do that in the U.S.?
No, not typically. Now, there's a few Filipinos that live in like Hawaii and stuff that I've heard of that actually do that there, but it's not an American thing at all. I think that something like that gets started is because this rooster has a certain pattern, his brother has the same pattern, and another brother has the same pattern, and all three of them won, and then this rooster that didn't have that pattern lost, and so, well, it must be the scales. People find their own conclusions for winning or losing.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's where a lot of superstitions.
I agree. I think that maybe these people who did count scales, sometimes they have a more percentage, but I just still think it's to me, it's just funny. Anything like that, it gives me a reason to pick on somebody.
Yeah.
Bully them a little bit, you know what I mean? Because that's what we do here. We bully people when we see them doing certain things. Like the one at the cockpit, in the arena, you'll see a rooster crow. You'll hear it like a guy's holding the rooster and it crows. And you'll see him reach up like he's grabbing the air, and he'll put it in his pocket, and you'll hear all the people in the arena start doing this certain sound, ooh, because they know he's superstitious.
Yeah.
And they usually think it's somebody from like a mountain area or something with these superstitious beliefs. That's right. But they bully here. Here, everybody's going to bully people here. That's a kind of a tradition here in the Philippines.
Mike Ratliff always said that when he developed his method and started winning like he was winning, he always told me privately, he said, I wish I would have started rubbing cat shit on the rooster's head, and he said everyone in the arena would have ended up rubbing cat shit on the rooster's head, trying to get it to win like mine were, so that I could sit back and just laugh at all the monkey see, monkey do people, trying to. He always used to laugh with me privately about that. One guy came to my farm when I was in Quezon, and he said, do you have any that are not trimmed? And I said, well, there's some in the stag lot, but no, all the cocks I trim as soon as I put them on the cords. You know, I usually trim them. And he's like, oh, I hate that. I said, why? And he said, I want to count the peaks on the straight comb. I count the peaks, how many certain peaks means that they can win. Wow. He said, I'll guarantee they'll win, but those, you know, whatever it was, I don't remember, 7 or 13 or whatever the number was. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter to me, you know, because I cut the comb off anyway. So, yeah, that's right. You know, the number of peaks doesn't matter, but that's one that they believe here.
Well, I think here, another superstitious thing they have here, combs also, because I've had the same thing. In fact, you asked me before when I first met you, like, how come you haven't trimmed them? And I'm like, well, because when people buy stuff here, they like them.
They want it that way.
That's right. But another thing is hennies. People have this belief that, you know, hennies are not so good. But I tell you, even
they don't even allow them in stag derbies here.
No, they don't. But personally, I like hennies. Yeah. You know, if they win, because I'm not a guy that really looks at the color. You know, the only thing I care about, the only reason I'm into bloodlines is because consistency.
Traits. Yeah.
Yeah, I can keep that like this and cross this with that, but I still have this. And that's the headache of that. That's what gets caught up and wasting so much time with all these damn bloodlines, you know. But hennies, I like hennies. And in fact, there's a guy, Javier, in our group that has good hennies. And, you know, I showed my brother-in-law before. But here, there's a weird thing. People don't really like them so much. Not at all, really. I mean, you can have hennies fight so good and they'll stay in your yard and nobody will try to buy them. And I think that's weird.
You know, and
I mean, I bet your dad never liked them.
Oh my God! No, Dad was like, I don't have no queer roosters on my farm. You know, limp-wristed. You know, he's using all those old terminology. Limp-wristed roosters. I'm like, Dad, roosters don't have wrists.
Post toe bigger.
Yeah, post toe. Yeah. No, I was never allowed to have, you know, much of anything that I like. Hennies, definitely not. I don't think I've ever owned a henny rooster. I don't think in all my years I've seen a lot of them, but I've never owned one. You know, whites, grays, blacks. You know, a lot of people hate black roosters.
I like off color, but you're right. I mean, that's, you know, Sorrente said, Mike, don't breed off colors. I'm like, well, I really do. If I just want to fight, then that's what I want, you know.
Yeah.
But there's people that really have a lot of, and that's how I used to win so much with those off colors. Because people, when I take it there to the hack fights, people would see like the Spangled. They think Spangled are just garbage, you know. But our Spangles were really good, you know. And so these people, you know, you can use those superstitious beliefs against them.
Yeah.
You know, short roosters. If you bring a short rooster, everybody wants to fight you because they think their rooster, because it's tall, is so good. But if you have one that fights like Mayweather, legs out, body back, legs out.
Well, that little rooster, you had that little gray rooster, his legs weren't.
Oh, yeah, 5-time winner. Yeah, and that's when I first got into these roosters with that little 5-time winner there. I think it was from my first batch I ever bred. But I learned a lot from stuff like that, and I learned a lot from the psychological aspect of fighting these roosters, and that's why I'm so good at like hack fights. Because here our hack fights are different. You're out there and you're looking to see who you want to fight against. If you bring an ugly short rooster, everybody's going to want to fight you. But if you know what you're looking at and you know what you're looking for, you can see like when people put their rooster down, if his legs don't straighten out so good, or he has you know, if you look and it's kind of fat, you know, it'll be slow. You can fight your small rooster against the big rooster, and he ain't going to catch you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, now some of the ones that we were talking about, one of them that I remember you talking about from a show years ago was about no fighting during a wake.
Oh yeah, my father-in-law. My father-in-law, we had already won the first 3. Or no, we lost the first one, we won the second 2. So we were in the finals. But then my father-in-law died, and everybody was like, are you guys still going to fight? And Florentine was like, of course, because Papa never believed in that stuff. He didn't believe in that superstitious stuff, you know? But then when we won, or not won, we won, you know, we had 6 points out of 7, and we got a big chunk of money. everybody said, because your father is a gambler, and even though he's in heaven, he was betting on your chickens. So if the luck is for you, they can twist it to where it's that. But if the luck is against you, you can say, it's bad luck, you shouldn't have fought. Because if we would have lost, then they would have said, we shouldn't have fought because Papa's wake, But when we did good, it's always good.
Yeah, that seems to be the way with superstitions. A lot of guys wear the same jersey or the same. They'll have a lucky hat. I had this really expensive pen that was given to me, and I saved it. I carried it around it's back in my TV days when I was a television executive. I carried a briefcase, and in that briefcase I had this certain ink pen, and I used it to sign. The only thing I would sign with it were big deals, important deals, or I'd sign big checks. If I had a big check, I was paying somebody out, or if I was cashing a big check, I'd sign the back. I called it my holy anointed ink pen. It was only for stuff that was super important. And I wouldn't let anybody use it. I was like, no, you can't touch my pen. That was my and the pen lasts for years because I wasn't writing with it or anything, just signing my stuff. But it was one of those refillable type ink pens, real expensive. Somebody had given it to me as a gift or something, but that was as close to superstitious as I ever really came. Now, like I said before, I am OCD about a lot of things. April makes fun of me all the time because, like, when we're sitting in bed and we're watching television, I line up, I line up my vape. I've got my phone and the remote for a certain amount of space between them, and I put them, and then I'll notice she'll reach over real secretly and push one of them out of the way, and it drives me nuts, and she knows it drives me nuts, so I got to put it back where it goes, The other thing was in the bathroom, she put this box of tissues or something on the back of the toilet, and one day I go in there and the writing is upside down, and I turn it around so you can read it. Not that it says anything relevant, but it sits odd with me that it's upside down. So she noticed that. So she turns it the other way. So for about 6 months, every time I go to the bathroom, I'd have to turn it back around, and she would laugh at me because I've got these little now. That does work to my advantage, like I said, conditioning roosters, because I'm
repetitive motion.
Repetitive, same thing. Roosters love consistency.
Sure.
They really, really do. I want to mention some of the stuff that's going on. Some of the stuff that's going on with us. Like I mentioned before, we have a new sponsor, Black Rooster, doing the classes online. Guys, you can get my books and stuff. If you saw some of the other shows, we're talking about history a lot. Our products are there. You can buy the streams or the books at TOPSPUR. Big Mike, you're going to Thailand, and then you've got plans to do some fighting.
When I come back,
some showing afterwards.
The first week I'm back, I think we have something already set up. Either I'm not sure if it's just a 3 wins or a 4 cock, because there's one of each. We're getting ready for one. Because the 3 wins is $50,000. Which is $1,000. That's not bad. If you can go and fight 3 chickens and win $1,000, that's. Because I used to win 3 wins a lot. When I used to do that. Because when you do 3 wins, you match them. They don't do it by.
They're not by weight, guys. They kind of like a hack fight, but they don't go by weights here. They just you pick your opponent, and if your opponent agrees, then it's a match, and you guys
3, and then you can't back out. That's the deal. But no pot money. Imagine that you can fight, 3 chickens for $1,000 with no pot money. That's not bad, man. No upfront money.
Well, they've got some strange rules here as far as derbies, and I would love to see some of the big farms here fight mains, and
they don't do that.
Yeah, no, I would love to see some of the big guys fight mains against each other, and put some effort into.
I think because there's no money in it. You know what I mean?
Well, there could be between the two.
Well, yeah, but I think Americans would fight for pride.
Yeah, oh yeah,
More than anything, and for Filipinos, it's not about pride. I mean, there's some pride in it, but it's not. It's going to be about money.
A good amount of the American breeders I know, especially the old guys, older, my age and older, will fight for little money.
Yeah, just
they're just in it. They're just in it for the sport.
Sure.
Of course, you want to make money if you can, because like to get your.
But I think if somebody called a guy out, and just put up a little upfront, a little money, well, now it'd probably be more. I bet people would probably do a main for a couple thousand now in the States, whereas here, it wouldn't be like that. If they're doing, it's gonna be something big.
Yeah. Not like it was in the good old days, for sure. Guys, bad luck can hit at any time, and anything can be turned into a superstition. So, leave us a comment. Tell us what superstitions that you have, or little rituals that you do, with your fowl. How do you feel about off colors? A lot of Americans don't like off colors simply because they're off colors, not because of any superstitious beliefs, but they just don't believe that off colors can survive in a long fight or that sort of thing. There's a lot to it, but guys, if you like the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If it's on Facebook, you guys can share it. We'd appreciate it. Be sure and hit the subscribe and the notification bell. That'll help us along with as we're putting these together. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Glad to be back doing Top Spur again. Big Mike, I'm going to give you the final word, my friend.
All right, guys, you have a good week. I'll see you the week after.